Call to order the regular meeting of the Historic Preservation Board for Wednesday, February 28th. Can I have a roll call, please?
Board member folks. Just as a reminder to please touch your pucks when you guys are speaking.
Sorry, here.
Board member folks here, board member
Oh, we
Moore,
have one? So we both do this?
board member Moore,
Here,
board member Singh,
Here.
vice chair Blake,
here.
chair Walter.
Here. Excellent. First item on agenda here is introductions.
Yes, we do have our new HB board member that was appointed by the city council last month, Bill Zhang.
Welcome.
It's been
Welcome.
sworn in.
Happy to have you.
So. your birthday be on.
Sure, yeah, that's my pleasure. Yeah, I've lived here in Campbell for quite a few years, less than 10 years, around 10 years already. So I was working in the high tech, and I was always interested in history and also to protect the historical buildings. So yeah, so it's my pleasure to meet with you, and I'm also pretty new. Yeah, so I hope I can learn a lot from you.
I have homework for you.
I would like to take it.
I will pass it off to you now. Oh, ta-da.
Thank you.
Yes, so we provided Bill all of our city resources, part of the orientation packet. And then we actually are going to be scheduled to go to the CPF conference in LA.
Excellent. That's a deep dive.
Yes,
It is.
a lot of information at once.
Wow.
So Laura, why don't you start off our introductions?
Oh.
So
Laura Moore. I have been on the preservation board for a number of years. I was on for 10 years in the 90s, off for 10 years and then back on again because I do love the street. And I live in Historic House in Campbell, about a block away, and I'm also on the museum board. So, yeah, but I love protecting our history and I love learning about our history.
It's like 20 years. or
Yeah.
something, Right.
What?
yes.
Okay, my name is Susan Blake and I've been on the board continually since. Yeah, 1885. I think it's 1993, so a very long time, yeah.
20 years.
But I love it. I'm a retired speech language pathologist. I also live in a historic home. I live in the first J.C. Ainsley home, which is on Third Street, right across from the library. And what else can I tell you? That's enough for now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Mhm.
Hopefully I can learn a lot. Yeah.
My name is Todd Walter. I'm an architect, born and raised in the area, so I've been here for my entire life. I've been on the board since 2011. And my house is not historic
But it will be.
officially.
Mine's not as well.
Built in 64, it's over 50, so at some point, someday it will be historic.
Yeah.
Because I'm linked to it, maybe it'll be
Yeah.
even more
Yeah.
historic later on in life. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Don't go murdering it.
Exactly.
I'm Mike Folks. I'm younger than your house, so this house is old to me. I've been on the board, the newest of the four of us, but for a number of years. And I live in Campbell in a historic house, well, the Wilson Martin House. And just been interested in history and architecture. I think the newest house I've ever lived in is 1922. Going back, the oldest is 1874. So, I also sit on the board of directors for the Kent Historic Society. I work at Apple. I'm an attorney there doing government.
Yeah, I
service.
worked there before.
So, yeah, so really interested in history. Back up, just not a board meeting, but the other group just before this, so.
Awesome.
I may ask you a question later about the lawyers at Apple. All right, so moving on to approval of minutes, approving the minutes of December 6th. Any questions, comments, changes, anyone?
Not for me.
All right, motion to approve them.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
Oh, I,
You have a
well, my
quorum?
computer.
I was
I have
clear.
a-
Need a second.
Yeah, four.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make.
Oh, that's fine.
Who's the fourth?
Well, I mean, at least three of you were here at the last.
Yeah.
You have four, but the two people need to abstain.
On which,
So Bill, since you weren't here at the last meeting, for this vote, you will abstain.
I would like to abstain.
okay. He made a motion. And I can second. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll do the roll call and then when I call your name, you can abstain. Okay. Board Member Folks?
Aye.
Board Member Moore?
Aye.
Board Member Zhang?
Aye.
Abstain.
Oh, abstain.
Vice Chair Blake?
Aye.
And Chair Walton?
Abstain. All right. Moving on to the next section here, oral communications, portion of the meeting, that's what we can talk about. Items to the board, the matters of the community that are not on the agenda of today. Let's see, there's some people in the audience. Do you have items you want to talk about that's not on the agenda?
Yeah, you can press the white microphone button.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Idu. A couple of you may have seen me last year. I live in one of the historic houses across from this city hall, North 91. We bought this house a few years ago, like 2020. And Daniel knows me and I talked to Susan the other day. I just wanted to know about the Meals Act program, if it's active now. We would like to be considered for the program. Yeah, we found a really nice historic house and we like the history and all these things. And in order to maintain these, we heard there is like a Meals Act program, like a tax break for the. So we'd like to be considered for that, and the status of the program would like to know. I was in the last year's meeting with the city council and the historic board combined joint meeting. Yeah, that's all I wanted to question.
So if I heard you right, you wanted to know more about the Mills Act for your property, is that
Pardon
correct?
me?
You wanted to know more about the Mills Act?
Yeah, well, I would like to be in the Meals Act program, contract, because we spend like a few. There's still a lot of repairs needs to be done. If there is a, the little bit of support, that will be great for us to maintain the historic nature of it. Plus, I have been exploring the window replacement and then other work that if the house requires. Currently, a lot of windows are cracked and ceiling is also like a cracking everywhere. It's a lot of problem with the house we notice. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, we
I
can't take any action on it tonight. But if you're interested in the Mills Act program for your property, you should reach out to Daniel. I don't recall right now if there's any openings for applications at this moment.
There is not, no.
There's none. Okay, so currently, unfortunately, we are limited to up to, was it 12? To be extended to 12?
Ended up 13.
Yeah, 11.
11? Yeah.
It's time that we had one.
So we have a limited number that we're allowed to. Right now, they're full. So you could obviously talk to Daniel and please put your name in. So if
Yeah,
that becomes available in the future, then you can put an application in. But right now, there's not an opportunity, unfortunately.
Unless the council changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the city council has to approve additional slots for applications for the Mills Act. Right now, they're holding it at 11, which is they're all full. We have to wait until the city council approves us to add more applications.
It is not on any agenda though, so they're not gonna just do it. Someone would have to ask.
Well, I can provide a brief update at their at our board staff announcements. Second.
yeah, like since 2020, I had been contacting city office Daniel, but I don't know, for some reason I wasn't.
I'll provide an update in a moment. I'll provide an update in a moment.
One of our items, he's going to talk more about this. So if you give us a few minutes, he'll explain to it.
Okay,
Is the speakers working?
we really need it.
I have a really hard time hearing.
Yeah, she's soft spoken.
I know, but I still.
I don't amplify very well.
Okay.
It's a technical issue that we. Commission meetings and it's the council meetings, it's the applications meetings, there's. That can be explained without. possible.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, we had to repeat what we were saying to you because you speak softly and the microphones are not working very well.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so
Okay,
if you like yelling, go right ahead.
do you want me to repeat the whole thing? What?
No,
I
no,
said?
no.
So,
I just wanted you to know why we kept asking you to repeat certain things.
Right.
Oh, no
yeah,
problem
so
at all.
Daniel's gonna talk about the Mills Act here in a little bit, so if you just wait a few minutes, he'll explain what update of where we are.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
My background a little bit, I came from Nepal. I'm as an immigrant, like maybe a long time ago. And this city is beautiful. We wanted to live here. Hopefully you will help us to,
Yes, hopefully. We're gonna try. Thank you.
All right, moving on to board staff announcements.
So yes, I can provide an update. I mean, unfortunately, it's not great here. So as the board may recall, so the city council did authorize preparation of an updated historic preservation ordinance last year that basically had three prongs. There was revisions to the permitting procedures to make them more clear and more clearly differentiate what approved at the staff level, what requires HPP review, and what requires city council review. It also would clarify the penalty provisions for unauthorized work and also then create a revamped Mills Act program as the incentive. So that got a council authorization to proceed. Now, unfortunately, subsequent to that, the city council also last year adopted the city's new general plan, housing element, and comprehensive code update. And that's really part of the city's effort to get more housing built in the city. So that's where the planning department's efforts have been focused since last June. So that has included a lot of my time working on a pretty substantive update to the zoning code to facilitate a lot more housing projects, plus also direct review of new housing projects that have come in, as you've seen through the DRC agendas. So we have had to prioritize that work. So it's indeterminate to what extent we're going to get the update done in this half year. And we do hope to get to it at some point this year. But unfortunately, the other zoning updates related to housing do have to take priority because of state mandates. So the state has very, very clearly indicated to the city, we have a responsibility to get housing produced in the city and to make that basically the priority of our department. So that is where we are. Try to balance that out.
All right, well, thank you for the update.
So we're seeing a holding pattern.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's pretty much what, because I've had several people now approach me about the Mills Act. And I wanted to have something substantive to say to them, but it's no more than what you've said.
So does that mean that we can't go to city council requesting for additional slots added for consideration, even though our update's separate?
Well, it's not entirely separate. I mean, they authorized an increase in number of contracts, but predicated on a revamped program that more clearly identified what was a permissible expense than the prior program. So those things do need to be tied together.
So question, Daniel, if somebody like current person in the audience was interested in it, even though the slots are full, could they still apply and then it just sits on the shelf or no?
No. Because really, we don't have a program for them to apply under. And we know that the new program is going to be very different than the prior programs. We don't have any materials or documentation that would highlight what they even need to submit.
Well, my question is, the Mills Act isn't going to cover an ADU or an addition. So if it's only covering what's already there, I don't know why we can't apply for it.
Well, the council's discussion was that under the prior program, the contracts there were too permissive in allowing cosmetic improvements to count towards the expenditures. So the council really wants the new program to be more narrowly tailored to really significant improvements to a building necessary to ensure its longevity. So that's going to be structural repairs, plumbing, electric, roof, insulation, argon or.
But that's what Todd and I worked on, and we had the whole
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
Right,
ready
but
to
that's
go.
not been approved by city
Well,
council.
they
Our
approved
whole
the
thing has to go to
the
city council.
framework of all that now moving forward, but and now it needs to be created into an actual policy document, is what we don't have. So, I mean, it's really, I mean, a lot of ordinance work, what we did is like writing out a recipe. Now we actually have to cook the meal, and that's where we're stuck in the holding pattern. Now, I'll hopefully have a better sense of where we stand by the end of March. The next up on my plate is finishing the second comprehensive update, the city zoning code, and that's a pretty expansive document. So once that's drafted, then I think I'll be in a better position to guesstimate where we stand on the historic update.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I really feel like we got put on the
Yeah.
back burner.
No, that's exactly what happened. I mean, there is the reality that, I mean, the planning department's priority is housing right now. That's true of basically every planning department in the state. And we're actually quite lucky. I mean, my colleague Steven was able to get that housing element, general plan and updates done concurrently in time for us to really avoid some more severe penalties that other cities are currently experiencing. I mean, Campbell only has one builder's remedy project, the Campbell Technology Park, whereas some cities like Los Gatos, I mean, they have a couple dozen. And these are projects that basically can come in with zero adherence to city zoning rules. They can do whatever they want. And that's the penalty that the cities are experiencing for not getting their housing elements certified in time. So, I mean, that's the leverage the state has over the cities.
It's my understanding that Campbell's one of few that was able to get it done before all
Yeah,
no.
they were quite
came
lucky.
apart. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the deadline for the Northern California cities was January 31st, and our housing element was certified in effectively by early June. And that was, I think we were the second in the county to have ours certified.
It made the newspaper. So what has to be done now on that issue?
Well, I mean, right now, I mean, we're basically dedicating a whole planner now to long-range planning. That's Steven. So he's doing nothing but comprehensive updates, and I'm doing a fair amount of that as well. But that's kind of where our immediate efforts are, plus actual housing projects. I mean, we have now 4 major housing projects in review. So it's and in all honesty, it's very much a transition period for our department and all other planning departments as we kind of move into kind of a new chapter in land use planning that prioritizes housing over everything else. And so to some degree too, I mean, you're going to see commercial projects, take somewhat of a hit as well, because if they have to wait in line behind housing projects, that's what will happen.
Okay. Well, thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that.
I have something.
Oh, you have board, okay, go for it.
It's just, this is under, matters related to historic preservation and promotion. I just wanted to let you know that I'm continuing to write stories for the Campbell newspaper called Campbell Press. And it's called A Little Bit of History. And I actually brought, last month's picture. And what I do is I do a close-up of some part of a building and I ask everybody to guess what are you looking at and where is it located? And then the following month, I give the answer plus the history of the building that is part of, and then I post a new photograph for consumption. So, and I'm having a blast.
Looks like
And yeah, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback from people that get this newspaper and try to email me and try to guess what it is. I said, no, gotta wait, gotta wait. So I thought I'd let you know that I was doing that.
That's great, thank you.
So it's not the flooding stream, it's the architectural element. Yeah,
I like it.
thank you. Yes, honor to.
Is this the first one or?
No, I've been doing it since last fall. Yeah, I just brought last month, so you could get an
This is
idea.
the answer to the question. to this
Well,
photo.
it's in the next issue, the
Yeah.
answer to that question, plus a new photograph for you to guess.
Oh, I
Both an
see.
answer to the last one and a
Interesting.
new one to work on.
Ah,
What was the answer to the last one?
in order to know what's a question, you need to have the previous one.
Right.
Like in the continuous
Exactly.
What was the answer here for the previous?
Yeah.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
is it-
this is the top of,
No, this is the current, is this the current one?
no, this is from last,
Yes.
Oh, it's from last
Okay.
month. Okay,
paper comes out once a month at the beginning of the
is
month.
that the top of the water? Is it
The water tower building
Yes.
below it. No.
That is like.
Oh, here we go.
I'm sorry, don't tell us, we'll figure it out.
Oh, right. It is familiar. It should be familiar.
Uh-huh.
It's downtown. That's my only clue. Country Women's Club. Oh. Oh.
All right, moving on to new business. It's time to elect our 2024 chair and vice chair and SARC advisory person. Go.
Yeah, so this is the time for you to select the chair, vice chair, and the advisor to the Sign Architecture Review Committee. Which is as a reminder, the Sign Architecture Review Committee is a standing subcommittee of the Planning Commission. So in the event that the Planning Commission considers an application pertaining to a historic resource, the code does require that one of the board members serve as an historic advisor to the SARC. And this happens very rarely. I think it happened one time last year, but still should select somebody. So this is the time for those three appointments to be made by the board's consensus.
Okay. Well, I would like to nominate
I would like
This
to
gentleman.
second that because
because we didn't get to meet all that much last year and he didn't get to do all his magic. So,
Fine, and accept that, and I did reverse. Nominate Susan for vice chair, if everyone's okay with that, and continue on for this next year.
okay, do we have to
I'll
vote on
second
that?
that.
Yes,
Is that a roll call?
It is.
All in favor of voting and electing, board member Susan Blake for vice chair and board member Todd Walter for chair of the Historic Preservation Board. Board member Folks.
Aye.
Board member Moore,
Aye.
board member Singh,
Aye.
vice chair Blake.
Aye.
Chair Walter.
aye.
Okay.
All right, now we need to do a SARC
Oh,
person
that's what I
also.
wanted to. I would like to appoint Todd Walter to that position. He's an architect. He's an architect.
That's fine, unless somebody else has a
A burning desire.
desire to be on the SARC.
Yeah.
Second,
Do we do another one? Right. Board member Fox,
aye.
board member Moore, board member Singh,
Aye.
vice chair Blake,
Aye.
chair Walter.
Aye. Probably seems odd when you vote for yourself, right?
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item 4, certified local government annual report.
All right, so this is the annual certified local government report. So the city of Campbell has been a certified local government since, what is that, 2001. So the CLG program is a state level program that recognizes contribution of some cities, and to the extent that they recognize historic preservation, have regular meetings, have hearing bodies, protection for historic resources. So to document ongoing compliance, the state does require us to file an annual report. They provide that template to us. This is done through the federal fiscal year, looking at last October 2022 through September 2023. So I prepared the report, I highlighted all the text in red, and so that has been included in your packet for your review. So we are seeking a motion to adopt a resolution concurring that the report has been completed to your satisfaction and directing me to transmit it to the California Office of Historic Preservation.
Is this something that is done annually?
It is.
So I would like to, because we're also, I mean, it allows us to take grants that we wouldn't otherwise get. And
All right, anybody have any questions or comments on the report?
looked good to me. No, but I do have one question. I pulled out one page that I had a question about, and it's page 10, the local property acquisition program, which we do not have. But is there any possibility of actually having one? I mean, we have that wonderful property down on Railway Avenue, things like that. We should be in a position to keep them within our inventory appropriately. And I don't see how in Silicon Valley, we couldn't find funding for things like that.
I mean, I would say that anything of that type would require council direction. Time expenditure of public funds.
Right.
I mean,
But-
it's,
I guess I could look for other cities that may have that as part of their program and see how it works, but it jumped out at me and I thought, why not?
Yeah, I would, I hate to say it, but I think if there were monies available for that, they would be probably prioritized towards housing production.
Why not saving a house?
Possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a matter of city council priorities in terms of public tax dollars.
How does that component work?
Well, that's why I would have to check with another.
I know, so that Dan, do you know
Yeah.
how that component
I'm afraid
works?
I don't know that programs in.
It says, do you have a local program to acquire or help to acquire historic properties in whole or in part through purchase, donation, or other means? So it sounds like it could be creative in pursuing something that we don't want to, lay.
Well, it sounds like it'd be something maybe similar to what, the old, high school and everything, was
Yeah.
purchased, transferred, however it was to the city, and then they maintained it. So if there was a property, a house that we're looking at, the city would own it, but then I don't know that the city owned it, what they would do with that property in a residential facility.
Well, it isn't just, it doesn't need to be a residential home. It could be a museum. It could be, the only one I can specifically think of is that property on Railway Avenue that was the cannery kitchen. It's where the cannery workers ate, and it's still there, amazingly enough, considering all that has transpired in that location. And it's just perfectly placed downtown. There's a lot of ideas for it being incorporated in what goes on in the city. So I would really.
It's privately owned.
Yes, but that is what it is, where it can be purchased. The person that owns it isn't going to live forever.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for that particular property,
Yeah.
we have taken some meetings with prospective developers and explained very much that that property is on the list and that does
Yeah.
need to be preserved. And I mean, there are a couple of ways for that to happen. It could certainly accommodate to commercial activity, a restaurant, brewery.
Right.
Or it could also accommodate housing. I mean, buildings like that have been converted into, residential lofts. I think,
That little thing,
I mean, yeah, I think we did the math. They could accommodate 3 housing units on the site.
oh, you mean on the site?
Well, like perhaps the building itself could be converted into 2 lofts and a third unit could be constructed in the parking lot in the back.
Where all that stuff
Yeah,
is.
yeah. So I mean, there
It's
are,
not there, it's pretty empty.
yes, adaptive reuse possibilities to exist for that property.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want
I'm not
cannery.
gonna hold my breath.
I'm not either, but
Well,
Things
if you
happen.
would like to look into that.
I will
find
look
out
into
more,
it.
or-
I've looked into it. I looked into it 30 years ago. I've looked into it 20 years ago, 10 years ago. I will look into.
See if you
it
can get Carrie from the museum to assist you in the research,
Oh.
because at one point she was interested in having
Oh,
that
yeah.
as an adjunct for the museum.
Right. And since we are getting a spout house, which I need to come look at the plans for. Have you seen them? No. You don't want to see them.
I didn't think so.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Just one question, Dana, because this was, when I read through this, I was not aware. Said if you don't have 2 qualified professionals, explain why. So what is a qualified professional? Like, obviously you qualified, but what does that encompass?
Sure. The COG requirements strongly encourage the city to have at least 2 qualified professionals that are defined as like architects, engineers,
Anthropologist.
anthropologists, people who have like historians or some professional practical experience in history.
Got it.
That,
Okay. I just didn't realize that was a thing, so. Yeah.
Does a Stagecoach Tavern in West Virginia count?
Yes,
Yes, it's.
I'll second that.
We're in the midst of our 501c3. I'll contact you later.
Okay.
One of our previous board members, she have, was it anthropology?
Yeah,
Yeah. Just-
Joelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joelle Hurnett. Yeah, anthropology.
That was her professional background.
that was
yeah.
my backup.
Forensic anthropology.
Oh, friends, yes.
Ooh, that was my backup
Exactly.
plan.
Fine. Bodies buried in the basement.
Uh-huh, exactly. They're historic, it's okay. All right, so can I have a motion of this item, please?
Oh, good
Move
Lord. Go
to
ahead.
approve the certified local government program annual report.
Motion, have a second?
I will second that.
Excellent. Roll call.
Board member Schultz.
Aye.
Board member Moore. Board member Sang.
Aye.
Vice Chair Blake.
Aye.
Chair Walter.
Excellent. All right, now moving on to item 5, public hearing, 1325 Burrows Road, administrative site and architectural review permit plus tier 1H historic resource alteration permit.
So this is a application for a tier 1 historic resource alteration permit in association with a administrative site and architectural review permit for property at 1325 Burrows Road. So this is a single family property in the R1 Canton zoning district in the city of Santa Tomas area, located on Burrows Road, south of Hacienda. It is known as the George and Mary Burroughs House. Is a structure married is one of the original 1984 properties listed on the historic resource inventory. Constructed in 1922 in a kind of a pre-war vernacular style that kind of has some elements of colonial revival cottage. And it is a 2-story single family dwelling used for that primary purpose. So the proposal would be for an approximately 500 square foot addition to the side of the building. The property is not directly oriented towards the street. So basically the side of the building faces the street. So this addition would be technically at the rear as as looking straight down the property, but functionally to the side of the building. So you're looking at the addition there. This would be the view as seen from inside the property, looking at the building directly at the main entry and on the left. And then looking at the back, this is the addition that you would see if you just turn that left corner. Because of the orientation of the building, the addition is actually not visible from the street at all, since it's on the opposite side of the street. So in terms of the board scope of review, so the historic preservation ordinance requires that the board consider the findings of approval for a tier 1 historic resource alteration permit for any discretionary application. But notwithstanding that this is a historic property within this zoning district, any addition to a single family home still requires a administrative review by the planning department that is formally decided by the director. But before that decision can be rendered, the historic aspect needs to be considered by the board for formal recommendation. So the staff report kind of goes into detail of how this addition complies with the city's historic resource design guidelines and the Secretary of Interior's standards for protection of historic properties. So basically, I think as the board generally aware, the general thrust is to ensure that additions are designed in such a way that they're clearly differentiated from the original structure as to protect the integrity of the historic resource. And that could be kind of conceivably that in the future, you could easily remove that addition without harming the original building. And so that's been done here through an addition that is at a different scale than the existing building. It's 1 story, it's 2 stories. And you can also see from the site plan that that building wall is also offset from the front building wall. And that's also noticeable here. You can see that offset right over here a little bit. There's a small gap. Yeah, so there's.
Oh, good.
So you
Can't see through the chair.
Yeah, so you do have that differentiation between the addition and the existing house. At the same time, that the addition's also been designed in such a manner that it tries to maintain some level of design consistency with the house. It has a roof that maintains that roof form of that cross gable, and then it terminates in a gabled end, very consistent with the home. And so staff's assessment, this is generally consistent with the applicable standards. And so with that, staff does recommend that the board adopt a resolution recommending approval of the tier 1 historic resource alteration.
So, thank you, Penny. Any questions, comments from anybody?
No, how do you tell whether you're on or not?
I think it's just.
Like it's red. Okay.
I had an opportunity to go out and observe the property from the street. And it is very unusual in that the entrance is now on the side of the building. When this property was first built, there was a road, Burroughs Road, that went in front of that house, which is why that archway was the way it was. And there was a 15-acre orchard that surrounded it. And they, over the years, sold, yeah, it made some prunes, but over the years, they, took more of the land off and now it's been divided all the way around it, but they've still got a sizable chunk of land around it. And it's a beautiful old building and I have no issues with what they're proposing to do.
I don't either, but as an interior designer, I probably would have picked it up and put it facing the street. That's just me.
Yeah, that would
It's
be
not
an
a big
issue.
deal.
That's not an interior.
I know, I can't help myself. I cannot help
Daniel,
myself.
one question, this is very helpful. So basically, the original property, just so I understand, because I read through, I was kind of confused. Property was subdivided, so there's now, on the original property, there's now a house in the back, and then there's an ADU, which is, and a garage was rebuilt. And those are on the property, the current, there's not three parcels, there's,
Well, yeah, the property had been heavily subdivided in the distant past.
okay.
It was most recently subdivided in 2017. And so there's actually, you actually see, it's a flag lot. So this area here, along with the access way, this is a driveway that leads to a now separate property in the back.
Right.
That has a new single family house that had been part of this property 5 years ago. So now the property is smaller, still large, but it has the principal structure plus a new garage and ADU here that replaced the original garage.
Okay, I just was confused about that. And so one thing I know that we've dealt with, at least since I've been on the board, is we've discussed it in, there's lots of pros and cons about architecturally differentiating new construction, but also, obviously, most homeowners do not want to have things that look like, in front of a zebra in the back of a giraffe or something, right? So, so for this structure, because it looks like, as you said, the roof, the windows, the siding all look kind of identical. So is the differentiation for this project the setback, that it's just not contiguous?
Correct. It's the offset from the front and also at a different scale.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that it can't be done differently. I mean, the standards are not entirely objective. There is a level of subjectivity to this. I mean, it did quickly grab some photos of similar homes that show different roof types. I mean, a flat roof that is a much more distinct change. That is an approach that could be considered as opposed to replicating the hipped roof that you see with the proposal.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just, I mean, for me, I think it was fine. I was just curious as to, because I know we grappled with that, and I think some, as you said, it's subjective. So to me, that meets the, I mean, it's clearly, you could tell it's been added. So, but I just wanted to make sure that I was reading it the same way.
It's also too the idea that if you just could wave a wand and just remove the addition, the house is fine.
Yeah.
It's not so integrated that they had to modify the roof so that if you remove the addition, the house would fall down.
Right.
And we have had properties come through where we've made suggestions on the siding, right, being or the applicant himself made the change themselves to say, hey, the original is 3.5, we're providing 5.5.
Right.
And some of those were because the one story with the addition of one story, so it looked a little more homogeneous, so they wanted to make sure it gave some distinction. So we could, if we really wanted to say, hey, this is great, but we want it to be even a little bit more, we can request that the siding be different size or something of that nature. Me personally, I'm fine with what they're doing right now because of this offset, its scale and everything. Like Daniel said, if you can remove it, then the original building doesn't get impacted by it.
Great, no, I'm with you. Yep.
And there's also a condition of approval that's going to require preparation of a new DPR form. So that'll document this work and then the garage removal and subdivision. So in the future, the records will be cleaner.
And I didn't see a report in here from Mark Sandoval or a similar historian, architect of any sort. So there was nothing significant on here that required that as part of the application. Correct.
And also that answer, there are some part of the addition extends the original wall, right? A little bit. Can you show me another picture that means see
Yeah,
from
there's-
above?
Yeah, a little bit. There's a prior addition here that this is just tying into a little bit, but clearly this, the box square structure is the original.
The yellow?
Well, no, this,
What-
see,
what is that?
this piece here appears to be some sort of prior addition that was made in the past.
Or it was another addition.
Yeah, just a small addition. This is probably well before it was part of the resource inventory. A lot of time between 1922 and 1984. Yeah.
Families grow.
Books written 1984.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No.
If not, if I can have somebody make a motion.
Need to open the public hearing.
Oh, that's right, we could, okay, sorry, forgot. All right, open up the public hearing for any comments from the audience. Is there anybody online?
There are people online, but I don't see anybody raising their hand to speak.
Well, one of them is looks like the architect or applicant. I'm a presenter.
Jerry, do you want to say anything?
Sure. Hi, yes, this is Cherry Graham. Again, appreciate you taking time and reviewing this. So we bought the property in 2007. We love living here. Born and raised in San Jose, went to Camden High School before it turned into a shopping center. So I love the area. My wife's a Westmont High graduate. So we love the house. We're just looking to do an addition. So when we get too old to go up and down the stairs, we've got a bedroom that we can retire and live here. So we've been working with our architect to make sure that, again, it's got a similar look and feel, because again, we love the obviously the look of the historic nature of the building. And so we're excited to move forward with this if you get approval on it.
Great, well, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions for the applicant? No, seeing none, I'm going to close the hearing, bring it back to the board. And if there's no further questions or comments, can someone make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the proposed project for the addition of the house on Burroughs. Let me see, Burroughs Avenue Road, Burroughs Road.
Second.
Right. Board member Folks,
Aye.
board member Moore,
Aye.
board member Zhang,
I,
Lester Quick,
Aye.
Chair Walter.
Aye. Excellent. Just saved another historic structure. I love it.
Yay.
All right. Being that's our last item on the agenda today, unless there's anything else to come up.
I have a question. I don't know if it's appropriate or not. You sent a message to us on February 28th that we're tentatively looking at a rescission request for 6775 Avenue in March. Can you give us an update on that, or is there any?
We are working with our historic advisor to get some additional substantiation on the applicant's materials. So that's still underway. We might need to push the meeting to April. That's really all I can say at this point.
Okay.
a question on the permit. So what is a tier one permit? Like tier one permit?
Tier one.
Yeah, and so there are tier two, right? Tier one, right? Tier
Yes,
one.
tier one is work that's generally deemed to be just appropriate with the standards. A tier two permit is generally something that's not appropriate. But generally why we have not approved one.
I see.
Yes, that did.
This is going to,
Give you.
okay, oh,
Mhm.
brought to my attention by a sneaky board member that says our adjournment is going to be to March 27th.
Does that ring a bell?
March 27th. Oh,
Oh.
that's your birthday.
Yes, and your son's
My son's
birthday.
birthday, that's right. Okay, all right.
Oh, good heavens.
All right,
I thought,
you bring
what?
cake.
Okay,
You bring cake, we'll eat
and you bring your son.
it.
I'll bring
He lives in
cookies.
Sacramento.
Oh, interesting, okay.
I like it.
Girl Scout cookies. Yeah.
All right, so I will then adjourn our meeting until March 27th.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
Oh, well.